take a sec for Instagram to start. Excuse me. There I go, burping my protein powder that I had for lunch. Let's see. Okay, cool. And we are live across the board. So
awesome.
Fabulous. Yay!
Yay!
So I am here with the amazing Alisa Burris, the author of Detached. And this is another one of our inspirations behind the stories. And for the month of March, we're featuring all of our female authors. So I want to start. I'm just going to jump right into it. What was the moment that made you say, you know what, I have got to write this story?
Well, that's such an excellent question. The moment that happened that spurred me to write this is that I live next door to a really scary neighbor who frightened me. And I would watch her and I knew that something questionable was happening. And it was extremely depressing. It invaded my living space and it made it so that I had, I just felt miserable. And I knew that for going through this kind of torture, I needed to turn it into something meaningful. So I became obsessed with writing it and kind of making it into a story, changing a lot. The murder mystery part is, totally made up. But I really just wanted to get my feelings out and feel like just basically be therapeutic. And that's really what spurred me to write it in the first place, was the pain and the agony and the anger and the fear.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Well, A, I'm so sorry you went through that.
Thank you.
But B, it resulted in a fabulous murder mystery.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so what first sparked the story itself, if that makes sense?
Yes. Well, the story itself was sparked by the fact that the spark is a perfect word for it, because there was a fire in the unit of that neighbor that was so frightening. All of a sudden, this fire broke out, which was very scary in itself. And that was the beginning point of the story. That kind of made everything else evolve from that fire. I felt it really illustrated the volatile nature of this person who lived right directly next door. So it just seemed like the perfect situation, even though it was traumatic and very frightening. But that was the spark, literally the spark that got the story rolling.
Wow. Now, you know what? I have to ask, was she somehow engaged in that fire, or was it just a coincidence?
I have my theories that she was.
Okay.
I think that there was something going on in that unit. I don't have any evidence or proof, just an instinct. They said that the fireplaces were faulty in that whole subdivision. That's what their explanation was. But I think that there were questionable things going on in there that caused the fire to happen. And it was very dramatic. I mean, there was flames coming out of the side of her house and everything, and smoke. And so it was scary.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of smoke.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh. Wow. So why this story? I mean, I know we published it a couple of years ago, but still, why this story now? What makes it feel, I don't want to just say relevant, but needed, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. I think that it's needed because it's more than just about the neighbor that I had. It kind of blossomed from there. And I give a lot of credit to Cecilia, who was my editor on the book, because she really helped me flesh it out and make it be bigger than just about dealing with a questionable, probably criminally minded neighbor. She helped me develop it into something more about our social times and our political times, which I think is still relevant today, even though the novel is, as you said, a few years old. It still talks about intolerance. It talks about a climate of hatred, of not accepting diversity, and that is a huge theme that plays throughout the novel as well. So it's not just about having to deal with a frightening person and enduring and navigating and basically trying to live a life next door to somebody who frightens you. It also has to do with intolerance, which has grown since this novel was first published. There's even more intolerance that's happening in our world today. And I think that it makes this story still relevant. And I think that it will be it's meaningful because people are living it and they're feeling it. They're seeing it all around them. And the neighbor, she represents that intolerance. She embodies it. So I think that people will feel like it speaks to them and that they see it in their own lives. So it is still relevant, even though this happened. When I wrote it, before everything has kind of burgeoned the way it has and kind of exploded literally the way it has in terms of our culture.
Wow. And I just want to take a second and then acknowledge. So Cecilia Kennedy, who was your fabulous editor. I absolutely adore Cecilia.
I do too.
She is so amazing. One of our most incredible editors. I'm so thankful that we have Cecilia on our team. I mean, really our family, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I learned so much from her, and she helped me to develop and to pace. And I feel like my novel became so much better and more developed because of our discussions and her guidance. So I really, I learned so much from her, and she helped me in so many ways to make it even better. So I loved working with her.
Oh, I love it. Yay. Now, you mentioned that there were a lot of emotions that you were really acted as triggers while you were writing the story.
Yes.
What about in terms of were there any kind of questions that you had in mind that were acted as prompts, I guess you could say, while you were writing it?
Oh, that's such an excellent question. I would say that probably integrating the murder mystery aspect of it, because that was completely fabricated. It was something that, and I'm a literary fiction writer, so mystery, it was more instinctive in writing that aspect of it and that element. But it was something where I had to learn as I went and kind of just feel around and figure out, how do I pace this? How do I give hints without giving it away, where the reader can perceive that there's the how it's evolving, and how, because there's a lieutenant in the story, and he kind of acts as the narrative's way of letting the mystery unfold. So I had to feel my way through that. And as someone who is a hugely passionate crime fiction or true crime lover, I enjoyed that aspect of it, because I'm fascinated with putting clues together and how they all actually unify and reveal who the person is and how it was discovered. So I kind of felt my way through that and learned about how to do that, because that isn't something I naturally or have done in the past. But now it's something that I really love. I love the laying in the clues and figuring out, how do I tell this story without giving it away, and not telling it, but showing it so that the reader on their own picks up on those clues, and I'm not telling them, but they're seeing it for themselves. So it was kind of a balance in doing that. That was, it was fun.
I was so beautifully put. I mean,
thank you.
Truly, the most when I was a kid, I loved Sherlock Holmes, any kind of murder mystery, and to your point, it's those telling without telling, right? Those implied hints that gets the reader to say, hey, wait a minute, she's telling me this for a reason. Wait, okay, hold on.
Exactly.
And then it's like it acts as like a staircase of sorts, right?
Yeah,
Like each one is another step towards
exactly.
the actual what's really going on. And
Right.
oh yeah, beautifully done. Beautifully
Thank
done.
you. Thank you.
Um now I'm going to take 100 steps back. So, like, what is the story about and who is the story about?
That's an excellent question. The story is really about them. It covers the perspectives of three different women who live in this subdivision. They live in a townhome complex. It's kind of a quad where there are four homes and they're attached to each other and they include a driveway. So there are four different households, but three of them, it's really three households that are the two neighbors, the one who's this frightening one. Then there's the one who is me, who is she's kind of the eyes to the story. And then there's the neighbor who is across the parking lot from her, the little just a little lot, and she is diagonally connected to the Charlotte Murray, who is the
Got it.
scary person. It's Marcy, who is kind of she's kind of diagonal. And so it's about the three women who are traumatized about because a person that they all have in common, some more intimately than others, gets murdered. And so the story is really about how the three women cope and how they see the murder and the resolution of it and how it progresses goes through the chapters, and each chapter is a different perspective of each of the three women. So that's how it kind of unfolds, where Wanda, and that's my character, that's who I am in it, she is kind of like the foundation, but she's only one perspective of the three. And it really tells a story, and the unfolding of the mystery happens as the perspectives alternate, and they alternate in the same order, where it's first Wanda, then Charlotte, then Marcy, and it repeats until Wanda is bookended on both ends of the novel, where she's the first and then she's the 10th chapter as well. So it tells the story of the murder, well, the reaction really, and their flashbacks to the actual murder. And you find out which of the three or who actually is responsible for this murder, which it unfolds as the novel progresses. But it's really their reactions. It's about the trauma of it. And it's about their relationships, however tangentially, however intimately, with Adam Wilcox, who is the person who is murdered. And that's the story. And that's kind of how it flushes out or blossoms out from him and from the fear of him or the relationship with him or the recounting. He is all flashback. You never see him within the story. He's all in flashback with all three of the women, because by the time the novel starts, he's gone. He's been killed. So that is really the outer layer of the framework of the novel, is that murder. And then you get into the minds of all three of the women. And so it's very much psychological, where each of the chapters looks at how they are feeling, what they are seeing, how they're dealing with the trauma, and recounting their interactions with him as well. So he's a big part of it, even though he's deceased when the novel begins.
Wow. I mean, and from a literary nerd perspective, what a fabulous structure.
Thank
Like,
you.
it's so fun to basically share an entire character all in from the perspective of other primary characters. So it's almost like you see he's in the gray.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So fabulous. So fabulous.
Thank you.
Now what's at stake now, since he's already passed away, right?
Right.
What's at stake with if things go wrong? Assuming they didn't go wrong.
Well, that is such a great question too. And when in thinking about that, I think what's at stake really is freedom, and also a sense of justice, as well, because Wanda and Charlotte, they're the ones who live right next door to each other. They couldn't be more different. Wanda is more, she's not violent. She's never done anything against the law, anything illegal. And there's Charlotte, who is questionable. And she actually is the off again, on again girlfriend of the person who's murdered, of Adam. So she has a whole different relationship. You see a different side of him with Charlotte than you do with Wanda. What you see with Wanda, you see the fear. What you see with Charlotte, you see the frustration and the irritation because he's not a very good, they're like co-parents, but they're not together most of the time. So you see frustration, you see different facets of him. So I think what's at stake is the fear of having somebody questionable and their boyfriend who Wanda suspects is a very involved and active drug dealer who comes and goes in her world. And she recounts that. And you also have the fact that Charlotte feels like she's accused of it throughout the whole novel. So she feels like her freedom is at stake. And so she's being zeroed in on by that lieutenant who keeps coming back, keeps circling, and keeps making his suspicions known. And then the third person, she's kind of in the middle. She knows Adam, but because she's best friends with Charlotte, but her relationship is more distant, although she also is part of their friendship circle. But it's a different relationship as the friend. She kind of witnesses a lot of the relationship between Charlotte and Adam, and her chapters look at that. And she's traumatized too, because she had a crush on him at one time, and she also is, he's somebody that was in her life, and now he's been murdered. So she's traumatized as well. But you get a different facets and different aspects of the closeness, the understanding, the basic of friendship and intimacy between all three of the women with the murder victim. And what's really at stake is the justice of it. Who did this and why, and the relief that he's gone, that Wanda feels, even though it is a tragedy and shouldn't have happened, but still, that sense of justice of who did this, of her sense of safety, knowing that somebody was murdered, and she suspects it before she even knows, because she watches so carefully. She knows something happened. That's terrible. So there's that sense of, on the one hand, it's the justice. On the other hand, it's the fear. And then there's also the sense of the grief that's involved, the shock that's involved. So there are a lot of very powerful emotions that are at stake and that swirl through and that are basically looked at and developed. And it's all through basically their own thoughts, where they don't really talk about it. It's all through narrative. The dialogue is more about and the interactions that they have, but not really talking about their feelings. They're all very separate and silent, but it's going on in their mental worlds is how you really see what they're feeling and the development of their emotions.
Oh, wow. Wow, that's fabulous. Absolutely. What kind of an emotional ride should a reader expect, especially considering the three very different points of view?
That's a really excellent question. I think that the emotional ride is turbulent. I think that the reader should expect, and not that they will feel traumatized as well. They'll witness it, but I think that they will feel what each of the women are experiencing, and as it unfolds, because from the beginning to the end, the feelings of the sense of fear that a murder happened so close to their home, like right in their home. And the sense of the wondering, the sense of not having safety, the sense of questioning how their own security when something like that happens. So I think that the reader will feel that. I think they'll feel that fear, and I think that they'll feel the sense of desire for the resolution, for somebody to get held responsible so that life can go back to normal again in this little quad of homes. And I think the reader will feel it and be part of it as well, because they'll be in the minds of these three different women and see the variations and the gradients of fear and of coping and of grief that's all mixed together with all three of them. The guilt, it's all there.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Brilliant. Oh. Now, what was the hardest? Every writer has at least one part that it's like you get to it and it's like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. Like, how do I articulate this for this novel? What was the hardest part for you to write?
Well, that's such a really good question. I was thinking about that, and I think that the hardest part, and I haven't really talked much about Marcy because she's kind of in the middle, and she's the best friend of Charlotte, who is the girlfriend and also perhaps a drug dealer as well with her ex on again, off again boyfriend. But I think the hardest part, or the most challenging part in terms of the story, and integrating it into the story, was Marcy's part in it, because she is not as she's not on either end of this extremes. There's Wanda, who is the witness, really, who sees everything and is sensitive to every detail that she's witnessing. And then there's Charlotte, who's abrasive and who is bold and loud and doesn't care that she makes everybody miserable with her antics, that she takes over the whole space. But Marcy's story, I think, was very challenging. And her story, it kind of builds into the fear, but it also is separate in that it has more to do with the social and the intolerance that the novel explores, in that she is secretly working on converting her religion to becoming Jewish, because she meets somebody through her job, quite accident. Well, actually, she meets him accidentally, not even realizing it, in meeting Charlotte to go to a church to see a bazaar, like a kind of a just the clothing sale. And she accidentally winds up at a temple where she meets the love of her life. He's a Sunday school teacher at the temple, and she falls in love and decides she's going to convert to Judaism. And she does it secretly. She doesn't tell Charlotte. And so the aspect of the intolerance, that's where it's mostly explored. Even though Charlotte embodies it as well, Marcy lives it. She feels it because she sees that intolerance. And that's what brings her, kind of separates her from Adam and Charlotte, is that she sees that anti-Semitic, the intolerance, the hatefulness. She sees it firsthand because of how they blame every minority group for their own misery. And so integrating that part into the murder mystery, that was challenging. And I think that I did the best I could, and I really worked hard at that to make it so it's seamless and it fits in. But that kind of is the part of it where the social aspect, the cultural, the sense of hate that is so pervasive in our society and our culture, that's where it really lives. And that's where it's really where Marcy is the personification of it. She's a reaction to it. And on top of that, Wanda is Jewish as well, which is secret. She doesn't broadcast it, and she also feels that. But she's not converting to Judaism. She already knows it, whereas Marcy is just now feeling it. She's been isolated and insulated from it by her friendships, where the hate was just a natural part. Now she's seeing it firsthand. And so that part, the balancing of those elements and making it's an awakening for Marcy. And having that happen in the midst of the murder being investigated, and her grieving for Adam, while also knowing that he really is not a good person, and realizing that, something she didn't realize before, but now she sees him differently, and her own awakening and maturity, and seeing the hatefulness and what it really means. So that's all part of how how she grows. I think in the novel, she grows the most, even though she's kind of wedged in between the two more dramatic characters, but she's the one who grows the most, I think.
Wow. Oh my. Now, where were you in your life when you were writing this book, and then that may have influenced the development of it?
Oh, that's excellent question. I was actually in when I started writing it. It was after the fire had happened, the actual fire that had taken place. So witnessing that fire and the aftermath, and the relief of that, the actual neighbor not being able to move back into the unit, the
Mhm.
happiness. So I was kind of like my way of coping with all that had happened and kind of reflecting on it. So I was in that place when I started writing it, where I was the relief, where I wasn't still in the midst of it, because I think if I had started writing it while I was dealing with the trauma of her being the neighbor that I had to deal with, I don't think I would have had the perspective. But when it ended and when she was gone and I could just breathe a sigh of relief, that's when the creativity just bloomed, and I was able to sit down and just write it and work on it and revise it and make it into something that I thought readers would be able to relate to, because it
Mhm.
was a trauma in my life. And that helped me to put it in perspective so that I could move forward and not fixate and not obsess over it, as I tend to do when things that are bad happen to me. I just can't let it go. But this helped me.
Oh, good. Well, hey. Well, and that is actually a beautiful entree into my next question, which is, how do you feel writing this may have changed you? And if so, how?
Oh, that it is a great transition to that question. Uh, it changed me in that it enabled me to have a much calmer perspective. I wasn't in a panic anymore, and I was able to get out all of the emotions, the rage, and the rage within me, which nobody really knows or sees because I act really calm on the surface, but it was there. It was, and it got in the way of enjoying life.
Mhm.
So getting that story out of me, turning it into art, because I knew, and it was something I thought about a lot. I have to make this into something, because otherwise it won't be worth what I went through. It won't be worth the pain and the anger if I don't turn it into something meaningful. And if I don't, then I'll never move on, because I'll always keep going back to it with rage. So it changed me in that I was able to put closure to it, and I was able to move forward and not be fixated on it anymore. Know that that was part of my life, part of what's made me who I am and build who I've become. And these kind of circumstances do kind of change you and make you see things differently, put
Mhm.
things in perspective, make you appreciate things more than you
Mhm.
would have otherwise. And all of those things occurred after this incident, or this, I mean, it was over almost 2.5 years of dealing with this. That
Wow.
yeah, it was a long
Mhm.
time when it's day by day. So it
Man.
changed me in that I was able to live my life in much more peace and happiness after that.
Mm. Oh, so beautifully put.
Thank you.
Now, what surprised you most while you were writing the story?
Oh, I think I really think what surprised me the most was being able to write about violence. That's not
Mm.
something I do naturally or normally. I don't really write about that, but um, writing about the violent aspect, and there is violence in it, because the murder is laid out at towards the end.
Mhm.
So writing about that, it was something that it was cathartic, because there was so much anger in me, and I'm not a violent person at all, but imagining it and bringing it to life. And
Mhm.
Cecilia really helped me in that too. Like, she encouraged me in
Mhm.
ways. And then I distinctly remember when I wrote it, after we talked and she read it, she notated, she was just like, wow, she couldn't believe it. And it was surprising that that it all came out. It kind of just flowed,
Mm.
and it felt. It's going to sound bad to say, but it felt really good to write it.
And I just to annotate, Cecilia, she is also a horror writer.
Yeah.
Anyone who would meet Cecilia, I would call her more of like a literary horror writer, but a horror
Yes.
writer. And she is so mild mannered and so just a beautiful persona, right? So positive.
Yeah.
No way anybody would look at her and go, Yes, clearly she's the female Stephen King. Like, there's no way in heck would that ever happen, right?
Right.
um, so you already talked about the characters that you found the hardest to write. But what about what almost didn't make it into the book and why?
Oh, that's really such a great question. I I think that the aspect of Marcy and her conversion,
Mm,
that almost didn't, because it's not, it's more kind of tangential, because it's not really part of the murder aspect. So it almost didn't, but
mhm,
it developed over time, and it became a big part of what the novel is about. Even though it doesn't involve the murder itself, it's more about Marcy and her realization.
mhm,
And it also speaks to the fact that the murderer, the murder victim, and his ex, or on again off again girlfriend, are both so, intolerant and ignorant as well. And so
mhm,
it kind of shows that aspect of them too. So that part kind of developed, and it wasn't something that I had originally thought about, but it kind of developed as I was writing it. That awareness, that desire
mhm,
to kind of for Marcy to go beyond what she had known. And I think it feeds into basically who Adam is and
mhm,
who Charlotte is as well. So it was something that kind of started as a separate kernel, but then it blends in, and I feel like it really is a major facet, a dimension that is necessary for the story to be told, and for it to be as full as it is, and not just focused on one event, but it kind of shows the collateral nature of the murder, and just the attitudes are all kind of there, and they develop, and they kind of, I could say, like a fire, kind of spark out from the
oh,
story.
wow. Now, is there anything that you wish that you had either included or maybe expanded upon within the story?
Oh, wow, that's another excellent question. I don't think there's anything, and I'm very critical of myself. So, I look at my writing, and I look at, how can I make this better, and what is
Mhm,
missing here. But
mhm,
I think with this novel, I felt really good about it. I felt like it included everything that I wanted to say. I don't feel like I missed anything,
mhm,
really. And I think part of that, a big part of that, is all the discussions with Cecilia and the help she gave me and the guidance, and also I worked on it for years as well. So I put a lot of thought into it and developing it. So it's pretty thorough in terms of what I wanted to say in it. But that's kind of unusual for me because I do criticize myself and go, well, what's missing? How can I make this better?
mhm.
What can I do to improve it? There's something that needs to be added that isn't there yet. So what can I do? So, but with this novel, I just don't feel that. I just feel like it's complete.
Oh, fabulous. Now, who do you feel will fall the hardest for this book?
I think that people who are interested in true crime
Mm,
will really like it,
mhm,
because there's a huge true crime aspect to it from Wanda's perspective,
mhm,
where she applies her knowledge of true crime and documentaries that she's addicted to. And
mm.
I even created a channel, a cable network
Oh, fun.
that is that's all true crime that she refers to. Like, she's like, her world revolves around this TV. She always has it on. And
Mhm,
she happens to be a freelance writer, so she's writing, but not fiction. She kind of is more website writing,
mhm,
but she has the TV on in the background to this channel. So the
mhm,
true crime aspect is like it flows through, where she uses it to kind of understand what's happening around her. And I think that people who are just as addicted to true crime, they'll be drawn into it, because those kind of documentaries
mhm,
are referred to a lot, and they serve as a kind of a foundation for what Wanda sees and how she judges the what the hints or the clues that she sees in around her, and that help her to really have a good instinct in what is actually happening, even though nobody would believe her and she sees it without anyone else witnessing. But those shows are her companions and give her the knowledge and the knowledge base and an understanding that help her, so that she basically is even better than the lieutenant in
Oh,
knowing
wow.
what's happening. She's much more aware, and she has better instincts too. In my view, I think she does. So I think that those who are really involved in true crime documentaries and maybe and works would be drawn to this story.
Brilliant. Now, is there anything that people come to you and say, oh my gosh, I so wasn't expecting that?
Yes. I've heard about basically how and I don't want to give anything away, but um, they didn't expect how it ended. They did not
Oh.
expect the way that it comes together, and how it comes together, and who is the one who created this whole situation. It's unexpected, and it's something that I've heard from readers that they find compelling, and that kept them reading, even though they know, and they saw the little hints along the way, but it surprised them in the end.
Fabulous. Now, if someone goes into it and they read the first 20 pages, what keeps them going? What keeps them saying, I have got to keep reading this book?
I think that what would get that in the first 20 pages are actually Wanda, when she's witnessing the fire, and also watching Charlotte and her reaction to it. And it's all done. And I think those are strong pages. I think that they bring in the reader because of the horror of having that fire, the fear of having it right next door, and the mystery of it. And on top of that, this is where the suspicion starts, where Wanda watches the lieutenant, because it's Charlotte's unit that's on fire. So she witnesses a conversation, the first conversation. She is not far away as the lieutenant starts questioning Charlotte, and she determines just from those snippets she hears that this isn't just a fire, that a murder happened, that there is a corpse in that unit. And so I think that will get readers interested to know, because there is no clue. It's just Wanda's instinct. It's her feeling, and it already her distrust of Charlotte and her fear of her, and always going to that place where she knows something bad, that this is a bad person, even though her relationship, you only see a few scenes where they even interact. Most of it is her just watching her. So those first 20 pages is when she already knows that there is a murder that happened, even though she doesn't have any proof or evidence. So I think that readers will be drawn in by that and want to know what happened.
Wow, brilliant. Now, is there a specific mood that you think a reader should be in when they first dive into this story?
Oh, wow. I think that they should be in the mood of openness, of not drawing any conclusions, but just absorbing the three different perspectives, and putting the story together, but being open to the three very diverse women. They are not at all alike, but they're telling the same story. So being in the mindset of just absorbing the details, of seeing the different facets of these three perspectives, and how they're all already, even from in the beginning, you meet Adam in flashback. And just to build the picture of him and how they see him, who he is, and why is he a victim of this violence, and just kind of taking it all in without judgment, but just absorbing it.
Got it. Wow. Now, in one sentence, why should someone pick up this book?
People should pick up this book so that they can enjoy a story of a psychological thriller in a sense.
Mm. Yeah.
From 3 different women. It's all about women's perspective of a very a psychological thriller.
Excellent. Before we close things out, is there anything else that you want to leave our viewers with? Anything else you want to cover?
Just that it was such a pleasure to write this book, and that I am so thankful to you, Lisa, for publishing my novel. And I feel very grateful to you, and to Cecilia and to Running Wild Press for all of your help and guidance. And I'm just very thankful to you.
Well, we're thankful to you for reading it. I mean, you know, come on. What a fantastic story. And for anyone who's watching, know that for the month of March, Detached is actually, the ebook is available for 99 cents. So if you're curious and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to check this out, take this opportunity, go to Amazon, and then just, again, look up Detached, and so that you can also experience this incredible, absolutely incredible story.
Thank you.
And with that, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and chat with us. What a fabulous interview. What great information.
Thank you.
For folks watching, don't forget, we have interviews with some of our other fantastic authors throughout the coming weeks. So keep on checking back to see. And with that, have a fantastic